Jali Mother.
Mullah Ali Madad. Thank you. All know we will be talking about Sirat Mustaqim. We'll explore the esoteric meaning of the straight path. Yeah. I wanted to start by these very, very profound words of our beloved Khudawand, Azamul A'imah, Hazrat Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah. Our souls be sacrificed for him again and again. Imam says the world is such that the existence of the living Imam must be there. Do a recap very quickly of this beautiful poem written by the greatest Ismaili poet and spiritual scientist of our time. What does Allama Sahib say about Wakulla Shayn Asaynahu fi Imam Mubin? And how is it related, connected with Sirat al-Mustaqim? Especially we are looking at the esoteric aspect of Sirat al-Mustaqim, right? So the manifest Imam is encompassing all the bounties and all the treasures. So we just look at a couple of verses here. How Nur Maulana Shakir Singh Hazri Imam is the Imam of the entire world. Yeah, not just Muslims. For us, he is our spiritual father, the world of humanity. He is Imam Nas, and he is the luminous light, the living Quran. And this verse is really profound. Go to the paradise of Ma'rifat. Ma'rifat, we know recognition of God, recognition of Ali Allah, and observe everything. In everything, there is nothing but light. Nur Maulana Kareem. These verses are so full of wisdom. Inshallah, by the end of us exploring the spiritual aspect of Sirat al-Mustaqim, will enjoy it far more. Who can guess what this is? Have any one of you heard that Hazri Imam really likes roses? Why a rose? How is a rose different from all the other flowers, right? It's delicate and it requires a lot of care, right? What is this line here and what is the person doing?
It's a tightrope walking.
Yes, slacklining, that's right. So let's have a look at this video. Try to make a connection with Sirat al-Mustaqim, right? The straight path. Okay, what did you think of it?
He's balancing.
Yes, balancing,
Focus.
It's showing that
focus.
the straight path is not easy. It's very thin path that you have to travel on. And
Full
if you
Sirat.
try, and whenever you try and fall, or whenever you fall, there is the Imam. You hold on to the rope of the Imamat, and you are back on track.
All right, excellent. Thank you. Yes, all those things, right? And so imagine walking on Sirat al-Mustaqim is like walking on a sharp sword, right? How focused we have to be and balancing every step of the way. So thank you all for participating. You are all absolutely correct. So Nurani words of our beloved Khudawan Nur Maulana Shah Hussaini Haj Imam. I pray for the strength of the faith of every murid that you may remain on Sirat al-Mustaqim. So Imam continues by reminding us that keep strong on the path of Sirat al-Mustaqim, don't wander. How can we keep strong on Sirat al-Mustaqim? Do we have the tools? Do we have the knowledge? Do we have the obedience, Farman Bardari? How can we clear our minds so that we stay on the path, so that we are focused on the path, right? What is required for us to clear our minds? What is required for us to stay on track? And again, Imam tells us that remain strong on Sirat al-Mustaqim. Again, in Dar es Salaam, Haj Imam reminds us that our tariqah, Islam, gives clear guidance about the way to live our physical life. Because remember, Islam is a way of life, right? So it guides all our actions, physical, spiritual, intellectual, right? What is good? What is not good? What are the ethics of social behavior? What are the principles by which you should live? Okay? And I say to my spiritual children today, don't wander. Don't wander from Sirat al-Mustaqim. Stay on Sirat al-Mustaqim. Keep the notion and the understanding of that straight path in your hearts every day. The key here we are exploring today is this part. Keep the notion and the understanding of that straight path in your hearts every day. See how Imam keeps on reminding us strength on Sirat al-Mustaqim and Mushkil Asan. Again, we see Imam is reminding us at this new beginning of the new cycle of Navroz, keep strong on Sirat al-Mustaqim, and is giving us prayers for strength. And he reminded us that only the faith of your forefathers will enable you to face life's challenges. Here I'd like us to look at the word forefathers. Only the faith of your forefathers will enable you to face life's challenges. So remember the formula that I use, and I've created it, the square, circle, and triangle. Let's look at the forefathers physically, spiritually, and intellectually, right? This play directed by Hafiz Karmali. You might all have seen it. It's from Ali to Karim, Ali to Shah Karim. Captures the cycle of Imamat really beautifully. I would encourage you to explore it. Physically, then, what our forefathers have left us, what is their legacy, right? This letter I'm sharing with you, it's actually written by my grandfather. Pray to Maulana Haj Imam to keep you happiness, good health, and Iman ni Salamati, and go to Jamaat Khana every day. So Iman ni Salamati, again, the faith of your forefathers will enable you to face life's challenges, right? So that's a physical aspect, but what do we mean spiritually that the faith of our forefathers? Nur Maulana Shah Hussaini Haj Imam is the 49th Imam, and it's Nurun ala Nur. So the faith of your forefathers is also the continuation of holding on to the chain of the Imam, holding on to Nurun ala Nur. Okay. What is Sirat al-Mustaqim? Sirat al-Mustaqim is the straight path. All the Abrahamic faiths followed Sirat al-Mustaqim because all the true religions are based on nature, and therefore they are Islam of the day, right? We know that the Ahl Kitab, people of the book, followed the true path. Today, Islam, specifically Ismailism, we are following the true path, right? All the scriptures also talk about Sirat al-Mustaqim, and we can see here in Matthew's mention of Sirat al-Mustaqim as, but small is the gate, and narrow and difficult to travel is the path that leads the way to everlasting life, and there are few who find it. Why few who find it? Only those who are yearning, who are searching for the truth, like in the time of a holy prophet, Salman Farsi did, right? He went in search of the living hand of God and he found Holy Prophet. Quranic teachings telling us that we should always follow the straight path, the path of the Lord, right? And in Surah Shifa, Surah Fatiha, he teaches us, God teaches us what to pray and how to pray and guides us on the right path. And he's telling us to seek Sirat al-Mustaqim, which is the straight path, and immediately after, guide us on the path of those who you have favored. So it's not enough for us to be on the straight path. It's important for us to be walking and elevating ourselves with the blessings of the Imam of the time, because then we are following the path of the prophets and the Imams, walking on Sirat al-Mustaqim. Through his mercy and obedience, we can then move forward slowly and gradually. Yeah. So be it today or be it the 70th century, Sirat al-Mustaqim will always be there. The living Sirat al-Mustaqim will always be there. How do we recognize what is Sirat al-Mustaqim? How do we recognize the straight path, right? So upon reflection, it's easy for anybody to come to a conclusion that it cannot be a physical path, right? Because a physical path is lifeless. So it has necessarily to be a spiritual path. God says in Surah Maida 5:15, قَدْ جَاءَكُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ نُورٌ وَكِتَابٌ مُبِينٌ. Nur first and then the book. So the living Sirat al-Mustaqim is first and then the book. That's how we know true path, because it leads us straight to God, right? And in Surah Anbiya also, we see that literally God is reminding us that we should follow the prophets and the imams. We all know that in the 6 great cycles of the prophets, and after that the cycle of imamat. And this is a very important reference here, Surah Rad, where God says to a holy prophet, "O Muhammad, you are a warner only, and for every people there is a guide." This ayat is so profound because it tells us that the true religion that leads to God has continuous guidance. God guides continuously, perpetually on Sirat al-Mustaqim to whoever and whomever he wishes and whoever is seeking and yearning, right? And there's also this, God also says that verily, and know that verily this is my straight path, so follow it. So my straight path here refers to the Natiq and the Imam. So prophets in their time and Imams in this cycle of Imamat. What are the 4 stages of Islam? Who is the commander? Who is the living Sirat al-Mustaqim? According to Imam Jafar Sadiq, it is the commander of the faithful, and today it is Nur Maulana Shakri Malasini Hazur Imam, right? So there are 4 stages, and they all have sub-stages, and there are multiple levels and layers within each stage, right? So Shariat is the physical law, Tariqat the Sufi path, Hakikat is the truth, the light of guidance, and Marifat is the divine recognition. And God guides whoever he wishes, and those who seek great path that leads to final destination, that Wakilna Dar es Salaam, as we say in our dua, the abode of peace, eternal peace. Okay, so Shariat is like the night. The level of Shariat within each one of us, within our personal worlds, is the beginning layer. Okay, it's the beginning step where still there is unawareness. Consciousness hasn't opened up yet. And as we move forward, and remember that the essence of Shariat is tariqat. Okay, so at the level of tariqat, then our heart opens and our understanding expands, right? Tariqat, hakikat is the essence of tariqat, and the level of hakikat is actually Ismailism. Remember the Usuluddin Farman? Hazrat Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah explains that Shariat is the physical law, Tariqat is Sufism, yeah, Hakikat is Ismailism, and Marifat is recognition. Within our personal world also, being Ismailis, all of us do not have or have not entered Baitul Khayal, right? So in my understanding, he or she who enters Baitul Khayal is then at the at the highest level of Hakikat, or is at the level of Hakikat, and then actualizing the Ismi Azam, one enters into Marifat. Right? This little diagram here is very, very important and very profound. I will just briefly touch on it because Dr. Rubina will explain in detail. It shows how at each stage of Shariat, Tariqat, Hakikat, and Marifat, all these four stages are there. At the level of Hakikat where we are, Ismailism, Marifat is at 25% and Shariat is at 20%. But if you look at the level of Shariat, they focus on the exoteric aspect of faith. They're focusing more on the physicality of the rites and rituals. Look at how much Marifat they practice. It's only 15%, right? So just to be mindful how beautiful every stage of Sirat al-Mustaqim is a totally different form, yeah? So the straight path is the rope of God, it is the spiritual ladder, and this is a beautiful hadith where Prophet says, Shariat is my words, Tariqat my actions, Hakikat my state, and Ma'rifat my secret. Yeah. So if we want to know Sirat al-Mustaqim, the living Sirat al-Mustaqim and all its treasures and secrets, we have to look at what Prophet says here in this beautiful hadith, that when we find Marifat, we find the secret of the Prophet, and that is the living Sirat al-Mustaqim, right? So this letter shows us that every step of the way, we need to progress through the balance of knowledge and action, Giriyauzari and Ibadat. Remember the video we saw how focused we have to be, balancing. Our intentions are important for us to be progressing so that we can continue to move ahead. How can we be strong in our intentions? Because sometimes, very often, we find that we make intentions, but then those intentions fizzle out. Why is that? And how can we make our intentions really pure and strong? The key is zikr, fikr, reflection, knowledge, action, and prayers. All those things actually make our intentions really strong. Kitab, who can tell me what does that mean? It's right here, yeah? Mother of the book. So spiritually, Kitab is Mawla Ali, and we are talking about the living Sirat al-Mustaqim, which is Mawla Ali. And so therefore, there's this direct connection, and perhaps we could say that they're also synonyms. We can say Sirat al-Mustaqim is Kitab. And so in this Kitab, which is Surah Shifa, Surah Fatiha, first half of the first part of our holy dua, look, God himself teaches us what to pray, that we should seek Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, guide us on the straight path, right? And then immediately after he said Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, Sirat al-Lazina an'amta alayhim, the path of those whom you have favored, right? So this is a very, very important key here for us. When we look at this heavenly prayer of guide us on the straight path, we see right away that there's connection between the straight path and Islam being the religion of nature. Remember Surah 30:30? Why? It has a length and distance which spiritually from azal, from timelessness with respect to beginning, and abad with respect to the end. It's a straight path, right? Physically, the progress is straight from the cycle of Prophet Adam till resurrection, till today. It's Nurun ala Nur, right? Straight path. For every ummah community from our Lord of Sharia, there's another with respect to Islam from the advent of Holy Prophet to resurrection. So again, it's Nurun ala Nur, straight path. Personally, in our personal world, it's straight path from the birth till we die. And death here is very beautiful. We will look at it in few slides after, the meaning and the beauty of death, okay? And at the level of tasawwuf and hakikat, from birth, our birth to our own self-recognition. And remember, which part, which soul within us do we need to recognize, to realize in order to gain self-recognition? It's of course above and beyond nafsi amara, right? Nafsi lawama, nafsi mutmainna. We Ismailis are totally blessed because we have the living Imam with us. Imam himself says that for hundreds of years, my spiritual children have been guided to the rope of Imamah. And Imam guides us, and we look to the Imam for all sorts of directions. It's really, really important to realize how intellectually and in a luminous state through Nur itself, Sirat al-Mustaqim encompasses everything, right? It is white light, so it encompasses all the spectrum of all the lights. Sirat al-Mustaqim is also referred to, as Imam says here, the rope of Imamat, Hablullah, right? And also Zil Marij, which is the Lord of Ladders. So one meaning of the rope and the ladder is that it stretches from the height of the world of angelicity to this lower world of humanity. Remember Maulana Rum's saying, said, when have we ever come to this world? This is but our shadow, because our higher I, our real existence is even right now in the Imam of the time, who is well grounded in knowledge. So Imam Jafar Sadiq says that we are the Rasikun fil Ilm, firmly grounded in knowledge, and we know the entire Ta'wil. So this is a beautiful key here. Without the Imam of the time, nobody can be mutahhar, nobody can be purified or cleansed in the real sense that would then lead us to He who is above all else. And marfua, okay, elevation. So purification and elevation to the highest level of knowing, understanding monoreality and merging in monoreality is only through the blessings of the living Sirat al-Mustaqim, okay? And thus Haj Imam holds all people within himself, because he himself is wa kulla shay'in ahsaynahu fi imami mubin. So wa kulla shay'in ahsaynahu fi imami mubin is the principle of imamat. And there's this profound hadith where Prophet says that indeed everything is a heart, and the heart of the Holy Quran is Yasin, right? So Imam of the time himself is the living Sirat al-Mustaqim, he's the living speaking Quran. Within our personal world, the more ibadat we do, the sharper our focus on Sirat al-Mustaqim, the further we can walk, the clearer and stronger the heartbeat it will be of Imam's Nurani rays within us. Physically, we know that when somebody has a heart attack, it's called heart attack because when the heart muscles die, it dies, right? It's not revived again. So we should forever seek all the medicines that we require for our soul and our intellect. And it also helps us physically through the manifest Imam. I remember of slides back, we were talking about death, right? So it's really interesting in this ayat, which is the principle of Imamat, because it has Wakula Shina Sen of Imam, which says, verily we bring back the dead to life. It's interesting how God is bringing life from death, right? So therefore, we need the Imam of the time, the living Sirat al-Mustaqim, in order for us to be revived, in order for us to get life, okay? The straight path is also Noah's Ark. Why? Because in reality, it is the personality of the Imam of the time, the living Sirat al-Mustaqim, or in whose luminosity, in whose Nuraniyat, which is complete, the sun of the world of religion, all the spiritual travelers can actually reach their ultimate destination. As the hadith says, the place of my Ahlul Bayt among you is like the Ark of Noah. Whoever embarks it is saved, and whoever lags behind is drowned. Right? Through our Farman Badari, through razor sharp focus and balance and pure intentions, Imam of the time continuously takes us, propels us even actually to Subulul Salam, where all the darkness is removed, and he takes us onto the light of peace, peace of what? Peace of understanding, wisdom, realization. By understanding the Imam of the time, he represents the face of God. We are actually coming closer and closer to God himself, but we know in the teachings of our beloved 48th Imam, the concept of Ali Allah. So let's keep that also in our forefront. And for one of the Imam of the time, have the courage and self-respect. Look, Imam is reminding us again, have the courage. When we fall, when we have trials, challenges, don't worry. Remember the pure intention. Our focus is Rafiud Darajat Zul Arsh. Our aim is to merge with the companionship on high. What does self-respect mean here? Because it's a farman and all of us will take different meanings from it. One of the meaning can be self-reliance, self-actualization, right? So have the courage and self-respect. Seek to know yourself. Then Imam, so he's reminding us to know ourselves, to know our own faith, instead of diving in through impressiveness or whatever it may be, thinking that the Western world has more to offer than ourselves. No, it's a balance. Each one has strength, each faith, each religion offers something unique. But for Ismailis, because we have the living Sirat al-Mustaqim, the word courage and self-respect takes on a whole new meaning at a whole new level. These are important words. This is my profound conviction, my deepest conviction. And if it is your Imam's conviction, he seeks to convince you also that you can live much happier lives, much more creative lives by keeping on Sirat al-Mustaqim, the straight path. How profound it is, right? Look, Imam says, this is my profound conviction, my deepest conviction. And it is your Imam's conviction. He seeks to convince you that you can live much happier lives and creative lives by keeping on Sirat al-Mustaqim. Keeping on what? By holding on to the Imam of the time, obeying his farman, because we know that it's only Imam of the time who can purify us, who can propel us to higher levels, right? And who can take us all the way to our final destination. My time is up, so I'm going to stop here. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, Ali Madad.
Thank you, Yasmin. Is it visible?
जी डॉक्टर साहब
Okay. So few points Yasmin has already covered. So maybe I can skip those, or other interpretations, because there are a lot of other focuses which we can explain from multiple books. If it is necessary, then we can take it. So this is Sirat-e-Mustaqim. I have just put it here that what is Rasta, path, Sirat, like it's a straight path. Sirat-e-Mustaqim means the straight path. Usually it's a straight road or a path. So this is not something physically that we should walk. Everybody can walk and then reach to a destiny. We need to also understand that path means progression. path is in itself is not a destiny. So if you see that there is a path, people could not stay in the path and then do their all living in the path. Path is to progress, path is to walk, path is maybe to run. So a road is always to progress, to run, to move. It is not there to stay. So we all need to understand that Sirate Mustaqim is only the path and the road where movement should happen all the time. We should not stay in somewhere that, okay, this is where we will stay forever and we'll make our house and then keep it, we live here. So path can always be for the movement. So that is very important to understand the whole Islam and the Islamic philosophy, that if we are to on the straight path, then it's always be a movement. We cannot say that since the Prophet Muhammad in Shariat has done this, so we should also be doing this and we should keep it. We need to move forward. So, and Islam is religion of nature, and what nature is, human creation is the best example of nature, in which Quran has also alluded to that there are different in the nature and in the human creation. If you see, there are different stages of life, such as child, mother, womb, newborn, then suckling baby, youth, middle age, and so on. So similarly, there are different stages of the religion, and there is a path in which people move forward of that religion and progress. So Islam is the religion of nature, and it has to be completed in some point in time, and there needs to be perfection. Where is the perfection? Perfection is in a marifat. Our destiny is in didar. Our destiny is to um, understanding and recognizing who we are, where we come from, and what is our self, what is our soul. So that kind of recognition and that kind of marifat is important. It is for advancement from one station to other station. As Yasmin said, there are four main stations, but in between there are other main stations as well. Um, and very importantly, in the path, when people are progressing, people of religion are progressing, progress is also dependent on knowledge and dependent on wisdom. So knowledge and wisdom, knowledge and actions are important, because when we go to school, from school to the university, it is very important. There are multiple tests in the school, multiple progress reports in the school, and based on the test and based on the progress report, we entered into the university. And in the university, we may not do all the things which we have already done in the school. So if we come in some university at the higher stage, we will not turn our back and say that no, we really would now like to move toward the school education. So as we move forward, we need to understand that some portion of which we already have done, our forefathers have done, and we have progressed. So we, and the Islam is progressing, then we are in the progression of that path. And so it is also very obvious that additional prayer, progression, closeness, didar is only possible when only possible in the straight path. If the diversions, if we divert ourselves or anybody divert from the straight path, then it will be very difficult for them to come again and join the straight path. So therefore the diversions are also important, that we need to understand that what are the diversions as well. And in the straight path, since there are stages, so when Momin start doing moving into the straight path, then he or she will witness miracles of all the levels, miracles of all prophets, miracles of all imams, miracles of every individual journey who has made it earlier. So we can see miracles of Adam, Hazrat Noor, Ibrahim, Muhammad, Ali, Imam, and all the miracles that has happened, we can see it, we can experience, and then in the destiny, which is the fana fillah, and we can move over on to this fana fillah. Once we do the fana fillah, which is moving in halation in God, then there is walking in the God, which is Ser Fillah. Ser Fillah is moving in the God and looking at the God attributes, and then experiencing the God attributes. So this is the path Islam is taking up to the level of Allah, not only to the Fana Fillah, but also moving in Allah, and how Allah's creation is working, how Allah's attributes are, then that experience also one could get. Then we have said that 4 stages we all know, and we all have learned that there are 4 stages. And in the Holy Quran, this slide explains that in the Holy Quran, where are the ayat which talks about these 4 stages. So Shariat, Tariqat, Haqiqat, and Marifat. So there is in Surah Maida, it is said, لِكُلِّ جَعَلْنَا مِنْكُمْ شَرِيَةً شَرِعًا وَمِنْهَاجًا. O people of different religion, for every one of you, for every one of us, we appointed a Sharia, and a Tariqat, which is Minhaj. So we may have heard Minhaj al-Quran is a group of people who work towards mainly Sufism. So this is Minhaj, a group of people who are Sufis, and we also have learned a lot from those Sufis. So Sharia is a Shariat, and Tariqa is Sufism, which is Minhaj, and in Surah Maida it is explained very well that every one of us has these paths available and asked to walk on these paths. Then in Surah Araf 105, Hazrat Musa said that I recognize truth, so I should not say anything about Allah except the truth. So this is the path of Haqiqat, which is the truth. So after Minhaj, after Tariqa, a path entered into the Haqiqat, which is the truth. So the truth, we find the truth for ourselves, a truth for Imam, a truth about religion, and a truth about our soul and our intellect. So what is the true intellect? What is the true soul? And actually all the creature, we may able to identify the truth of that creatures. And every word in the Quran which focuses or which explains haq or truth is about haqiqat, or is about the stage of the haqiqat in the whole Sirat Mustaqim. Then the word arifu, ya'rifunahum, arafaha, fa'tarafunaha, these all comes from marifat or recognition. So these all are the statement or the term in the Quran which explain marifat, or which explain recognition. So from Shariat, where the doings, actions, and then in the Tariqat, it's actions with the love, with ishq, and then understanding, deeper understanding about the truth of soul, intellect, and the creation. We entered into the recognition that after the truth and the recognition, they are overlapped, and we may go into the recognition by Ser Fillah, by entering into the Imam of the time, and then we can see that how Imam's attributes work, and we can experience also how Imam's attributes works. So these are the 4 stages mentioned in the Quran, and it is not somewhere outside somebody has made, but these are the 4 stages exactly mentioned in Quran. Then there are examples. Some of them is already mentioned in the Yasmin slides also. That Shariat is like a night where you have to we have to perform without maybe not even questions. There are few questions that can be answered superficially, but it's a kind of a mold we are on. Like when a child goes and starts school, he just do whatever is being asked, and then more deeper questions were not being answered. And nowadays, if you see, children are questioning a lot of things, and if we try to make him understand, it will be very difficult for them to understand a lot of things. So, like for example, one of my nephew asked that everything is in English, science is in English, and geography is in English, language, ethics is in English language. Then why this Urdu is not in English? So because Urdu seems very difficult. So these kind of questions asked, and it is very difficult for us to answer. Hello, sorry. Uh, can you hear me?
Yes, Rubina sir, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay, so in Shariat, it is like night. You cannot see each and everything unless we have some kind of light, and that is the light of star, which is tariqat, and then moon is a better light. But all these lights are taken from the sun, and sun is basically the marfat, who is the imam of the time. So we can say that the path, the straight path, is actually the imam of the time. And in hadith also, when a prophet says that shariat mere aqwal hai, tariqat mere amal hai, haqiqat mera kaifiyat hai, aur batin mera raz hai. So that means my actions which are physical doing is shariat, but then my inner self is tariqat, and then marifat is my secret. So these are the path of progression. We and our ancestors and we Smileys have moved from Shariat. We have seen that Imams has also um, obeyed all the Shari umur of the Shariat, like they have kept rosas, they were doing Hajj. But when we progress into the Hakikat and into the Marifat, it has been now changed. Not necessarily all the actions which were done in Shariat, we exactly do the same. We do it, but its meanings is more important. And there is also hadith in Tirmizi, where it is mentioned in the Spirit of Islam by Sayyid Amir Ali, that there is a time will come where you are in the age in which if you abandon 1/10 of what is ordered, you will be ruined. After this, a time will come when he who shall observe 1/10 of what is now ordered will be redeemed. So that means that there is a time where you do little bit of Shariat, but understanding, recognizing progress, you still will be able to go to the Bihish. And at the time of Holy Prophet, even 1/10 of the Shari umur or the Shari action is not being done, then you will be ruined. So, or you will be sent into those. So that is the time of a progress where a little bit of Shariat is important, but more so ever Hakikat and Marfat is important. That comes to this table with which Allama Said has very well also explained in 8 question and answer, that if we see that in the straight path there are main 4 stations, and in Shariat it was very important that 40% of the Shari actions like namaz, roza, zakat, hajj, how you do wuzu, how you do namaz, how you do. So there these little actions are very important. But with that, there are people who are at the level of tariqat and who are at the level of haqiqat and who are at the level of marifat. So these people were also doing these things, but a very low level of percentage. But when you come to haqiqat and marifat, the shari'i umur is now gone into 20% and 15% only. But if we see haqiqat and marifat, it is almost 30 to 25% and 25 to 40%. So this is the progression where all shari'i umur is now changed and converted into not the actions. Yes, actions are important because 15% of Shariat is also there. We cannot say that our actions are Shari'i actions are not important, like sitting in bandagi, sitting in the morning, doing the roza for the self, roza of tongue, roza of eyes. So these interpretations are important, but the Shari'i umur are not as important as at the time of Shariat. So now this time we do little of the actions, physical actions that relate to the physical body, but it relates to more so ever of the soul, understanding, recognition, and ibadat. So it is also very important for all of us to understand that there are different paths, deviations is possible, and people have turned into deviation, which Quran also has said that diverging path other than the straight path are not the straight. They are crooked. Crooked means they won't be able to keep you on the straight path, and then they won't be able to guide you towards the straight destiny. So it is harmful and do not lead to desired destiny. And it is possible for those who follow this path, they may leave the path, but then they have to come back to the straight path again. But you can see that many a times time is wasted. Like if we don't follow the map or we just lost one direction, we have to move towards the whole road and come back again, and it takes lot of time if we lose that path. So Allah says in Surah 16, Ayat 9, that and Allah leads to a straight path, but there are paths that turn aside. And if He will, He would have led you to the straight path. And in Surah Fatiha, if you see that Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim Sirat al-Lazina an'amta alayhim ghairil maghzubi alayhim walazwalim. So maghzubi and walazwalim. So there are two kinds of people, and there are two or main group of people who have been favored in the past. So there are people who are. There are total four groups of the people. The first whom are guided and had a special favor, those who had get the in'am. So that special favored, what they are, whom they are Siddiqeen, Shohada, Salihin, and Urufa. So these are the people who are on the straight path and who can guide people on the straight path. So it is very important that if we have Siddiqeen and Shohada and Salihin, and we recognize those, and if they say something to us like Dai and Fidai, those are the moment who can guide us on the straight path and um, guide towards the destiny. So this is one group of the people who are Imaman, Siddiqeen, and Arifan. The second group has the potential and a capability to following the straight path, and they constantly pray that they've been able to do so, and they're trying to follow those who are Inam Yafta, or those who are already on the straight path and moving towards the destiny or in the destiny. The third and the fourth group are those people who are not in the straight path, and they have deviated from the straight path. One with God's azab or God's anger, and they are unable to join the straight path. The other group they deviated with some other conditions, and they are just not following, and they are not obeying the Imam of the time, and they have a lot of questions that we are not on the straight path. In fact, we have seen that many of people who have moved towards another deviation, that means that they may have a lot of questions about the straight path, and then they deviate and move towards the other chain, which is the deviation. And therefore, we pray 3 times a day at least that Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, that oh Allah, keep us on, not just keep us, but help us, protect us to be on the straight path. So chala is you give the practical guidance, and the guidance is also very important. That when we pray that ihdina sirat al mustaqim, that to keep us on the straight path, it's by practical guidance. So when Allah says wa annaka latahdi ila siratim mustaqim, means that Allah is on Sirat Mustaqim, and we can only find Allah, which is Mazhar of Allah, Imam, is on the Sirat Mustaqim. So there are 3 kind of guidance: practical guidance, verbal guidance, and written guidance. When we pray for the practical guidance, that you take our hand and help us move in this on the Sirat Mustaqim. So means that walking with the guide, so moving with the guide, in the when you travel, then the guide is always there to give you the guidance, and not even give you the guidance, but whatever comes within those paths, he give us explanation, history, and what is there. So all the culture and the matter. So that guide, true guide, will explain what is coming in each path, and then takes all of the travelers to the desired destination. It is easy, smooth, less stressful. So we pray that we need a practical guidance. There is also verbal guidance and written guidance, which people say that we have a verbal guidance, we have a lot of Quranic teaching, we have a lot of other things. Then why do we need Imam of the time? But verbal guidance, there are chances that in the verbal guidance we may misunderstand. There is a misinterpretation, error of not listening properly. So that is the error in the time. And in the written guidance, mostly people say that Quran has the written guidance, and the traveler is provided with a map. So you go with the map, but still you won't be able to see lot of things, experience lot of things. And what about those who are unable to read and write? What about those who are unable to understand the map? What about those who misunderstand the direction or misinterpret the direction? So then, for all those error, when Allah asks us to pray, then He asks us the prayer should be without any error. And when He says that move to the straight path, it should be without any error. And Allah's guidance is the ideal and the best guidance. So the written and the verbal guidance are important and can take us through the straight path, but the journey is not easy, and the journey may not be possible. Misinterpretation, misunderstanding, and the experiences which a practical guidance can give, this written guidance and the verbal guidance, those experiences will be completely missed out, and reaching to the destination will be very difficult. Best practical guidance is actually the Imam of the time, which is embodied path. Path in itself, alam in its Imam alam shakti. Like in 2 of the ayat, in one ayat, Allah says that my Lord is on his straight path, and in the other ayat, in Surah Hijr, he says that the path leads to him. So we see that path lead to him, and he is on the path. So That means that Allah is on the path and He guides people to the path, but Allah is actually the mazhar of the time. He is the one who is Sirat Mustaqim. Allah is Sirat Mustaqim. That means that His mazhar, actually His mazhar's noor and luminosity is basically the Sirat Mustaqim. So our Sirat Mustaqim is Imam of the time. Outside the Imam of the time, it's all deviation. Within the Imam of the time, there is all good deeds, good actions, and all nekis is within the Imam of the time, and Sirat Mustaqim outside the Imam of the time is not actually the Sirat Mustaqim. So the God from the beginning to the desired destination is Himself, the Sirat Mustaqim, in the form of His Mazhar, like exactly like Prophet was speaking Quran and embodied Islam and light in human form. So Noore Mushakkal. So here it is Noore Sirat Mustaqim, or in the form of body. Imam of the time is Sirat Mustaqim, both externally and internally. Also, it's the Imam. This is my last slide. So when in Quran, it is says that Rafi Uddarajati Zul Arsh, ayat Surah 40, ayat 15, that exalter of rank, the Lord of the throne. The wisdom of this verse is that there are ladders that goes to the throne, that goes to the Arsh. And here there are two names of Allah. One is Rafi Uddarajat, that one who take us to the level of Arsh, and other is Zul Arsh, who is actually the Arsh. So Arsh is the Imam, and one who take all of us to the Arsh is also the Imam. So his Nurani body is actually Rafi'ud Darajat, all the levels, and his Nurani body is actually the Arsh. So you go to the Imam of the time, you enter to the destination, and then once you enter, you live in the Imam of the time. So it's Sufi says that Sair Fillah and Sair Ilallah. So Sair Ilallah towards, moving towards Allah, and Sair Fillah means moving within Allah. So these two terms are very important, that after achieving the destination, moving within Imam of the time, understanding Imam of the time, and gaining Akle Kulli and Nafse Kulli, both the Noor from the Imam of the time is also very important. So this path take us to the rank of Fanafillah and also on the supreme throne. So a believing servant, when do this prayer, then he take us to the level where he is sitting. So he is on Arsh. So he also wants all of the mu'min, all of his servant, or all of his bandas to go up to the throne. We can also understand from the ladder that reaches to a surface where all of the mu'min will eventually come into the Imam of the time, and eventually in the Nafse Wahida. So he is the Nafse Wahida, and beneath there are multiple layers, and in each layer, people slowly and gradually are moving towards to that Nafse Wahida, or to the throne, or to the supreme Arsh. So we can also pray Rafi Uddarajat Izul Arsh, and we may and we all may be praying that Rafi Uddarajat Izul Arsh, that take us to with the practical guidance, take us to the level of the Arsh where he is sitting, so we can be see him, his Noor, and meet him within his Nurani body. So with that, I think I am done. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, and if we have time, then we're ready to answer. Thank you.
Subhanallah, Dr. Saiba and Yasmin Saiba. Friends, if you have any question, please share in the chat room.
Dr. Sahib,
Yes.
can you, I just, if you can explain or elaborate when you say that we should experience the miracles of all the prophets and the imams. I just wanted a little bit clarification. How do we experience those miracles?
In the straight path, because this is the path where all Ambiyas have moved, all Imaman has moved on. So when a Momin reach to a level of that path or marifat, then little bit of experiences that what does actually Tawili meaning of Ibrahim sent in thrown into the fire, how Musa has seen Didar on Kohetur, how Prophet Muhammad Miraj has happened. So all those understanding we will be able to get an experience at the level of Tanzil, which is actual experience in its ourself, and then its meaning in terms of Tawil. So that comes with some experiences. And those who experienced have written that these experiences come after they have successful ibadat.
Oh, I see. Okay, okay. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for the clarification. Thank you.
Is it possible you can elaborate on Nafsi Wahida?
Yeah, actually, there was one lecture about Nafse Wahida that explained a lot about it. Every soul definitely has to return to Nafse Wahida. But then there are oneness also in God, and there is stages also. So stages are also very important because every soul will definitely go to Allah where it comes from, but then it has to pass through many stages, and that stages, understanding and recognizing those stages are very important, which is Sirat Mustaqim. It is a huge lecture, but Yasmin can also explain.
Yeah, you've given the key like Wahida, one, right? The one who is one and the one who makes everybody one. Khalaqakum min nafsin wahida. Remember Hazimam's speech where he said that I know of no more beautiful saying than that all human beings are created from the single soul, right? Because Nafs Wahida itself is the destination, itself is the path. All human beings are made of the single soul. So again, as Dr. Rubina said, that there are levels, all the way there are levels, but there's equality as well. Since we all have the divine spark, we are all equal, but we are all at a different level. And it's up to us. It's up to our intentions, our courage. Remember the video we saw a little bit earlier? If we fall, don't worry, and don't even worry about falling, because we know that Imam is there, is guiding us, is holding us, right? But the thing is, we have to fearlessly go forward, and that's how our levels increase.
Let me end with a personal thought. As you build your lives for yourselves and others, you will come to rest upon certain principles. Central to my life has been a verse in the Holy Quran, which addresses itself to the whole of humanity. It says, O mankind, fear your Lord, who created you of a single soul, and from it created its mate, and from the pair of them scattered abroad many men and women. I know of no more beautiful expression about the unity of our human race, born indeed from a single soul. Thank you.